You're 18 years old, it is 1816, and you sit down and have a meeting with John Polidori, who, by the way, is the original author or creator of what is today known as vampire horror stories, Lord Byron, yes, the Lord Byron, the poet. And you enter into a competition in this meeting to see who could write the scariest horror. And fast forward 2 years to 1818, and that 18-year-old at the tender age of 20, and by the name of Mary Shelley, anonymously published the first book of Frankenstein. And then in 2 years after that, it was then published for the first time in Paris. And that was the first time that it was published with her name. Welcome, everybody. My name is Alister. Once again, your host of The Modern Modernist. Frankenstein? Lord Byron? There's a reason why we're there. In the Streng world, the purists, they have a term called a Frankenstein. When a Streng home is modified past what it was originally intended to be. And the really bad ones get called Frankensteins. One that's been modified with non-Streng stuff, it falls into that category, but there's, you know, good, and there's, horror stories. Hence today's analogy. The neighborhood that I'm in today, we're in Carmichael, we're just sort of northeast of the city of Sacramento, all of 15, 20 minutes. There is one house. I don't know what happened to the original Streng that was there, but we're in a whole neighborhood of Strengs, and this thing, there's a house down the street. It literally looks like just like a Venetian transplant. I don't even know what it just, anyway, we're not in that house today, thank goodness. But anyway, we are in a Streng. Yes, it's been modified. We'll go over it. Because the house we're in is 1962, 2 years into Carter Sparks and the Streng brothers, Bill and Jim's partnership. So it's a very early, very original house. So there's some really cool details, but we'll go over it. So before we start, Julie Reardon, this is actually her listing. Thank you so much for letting me do the video. She is also a fellow Lyon agent, so it's always nice to kind of be on the same team. I always like that. But anyway, so here we go. So why my analogy? Well, we are sitting in a Streng brothers home. That's a bay window. I know. Some of you, the original, the old school folks, the true hardcore Streng folk, they're not going to be pleased to see that. But this whole room is actually, it's a dining room, and it's a complete addition, because if we look behind me, so that is the outdoors, and this where we're standing used to be the outdoors when this house was first built. And I don't know, I wouldn't have gone with a bay window, to be honest. I would have done a large, let's go so you can see what I'm talking about. I would have just done that as a large plate glass window. And then as an homage to Carter Sparks, if we did the Bridge Over Troubled Water video that I did, that actually, Carter Sparks used to take 2 panes of glass for a corner and then butt them up like a butt joint, basically. And I would have done that. I would have made this, instead of 3 windows, I would have done it like a wall of glass. And then just butt it up in this corner and then another wall of glass that way. But these folks decided to do, whoever, a bay window in a Streng. But anyway, enough of that. Let's see what else we got. Tell you what we do have. Ready for this? Unpainted beams. Like they've left them throughout the whole house. You don't see that. And here we are is, again, very early Carter Sparks inspired fireplace. See that? That's the original mantle. Like I said, there's some really cool stuff in this house. With it being 1962, let's think about this on the drive over here. The beginning of mid-modern Sacramento and the Carter Sparks era of it, the houses were built, designed, and done with his mind, his way of thinking first, right? It's like, this is how it should be, this is how we're doing it. There was no real input from customers yet. So these are very early homes through, like I said, they started building in 1960. So most of the homes built in the 60s were not a lot of customer input. It was like, this was Carter doing Carter, and this is what you're getting because this is how we do it. And then you find the homes in the 70s and up to 86 when they stopped building, where that was, you know, sort of customers were like, well, in this day and age, this world, this is what I want. So this house, I really like this house for the very reason of, there's some very original stuff in here. It's been left. And you get to see the early designs. So again, so we're in a 3-bedroom house, and see, some of these homes, that beam would have been painted. It's been left. It's very cool. There is some other additions to this house, which we'll also get into, which, yeah, to make it a Frankenstein, but they're actually very thoughtfully done. They're very cool. So we'll get into it. Again, we get into, see, closet door. See this pull? These are very original. You see these all over the place. Usually, these are being used as a closet door. I don't know if you can see, but they put in these little holes right here. And when they're punched out, there's a pull in there. I've yet to see one where the pull still exists. But on the closet door, the holes are not punched through because you're just using these like this as a slider. So I'm learning something new today too, that he actually had these indent handles. There was actually 2 variations on them. But yeah, so I'll show you where one would have been used as like a pull to open a door. But yeah, and then there's a bathroom. Here we go. Well, right here. So there's your HVAC closet, right? This has now been switched over to a handle. But on the original houses, that would have been that pull on those closet doors, but then the holes would have been punched through and there'll be a little metal pull just to pull on the handle. But these have been switched out. But what is nice, they left the original hinges in. I love it, the aluminum. It gets swapped out all the time. Bedroom number 2. We have, so, walk-in closet. There we go. Again, beam left as is, super nice. You do have a little on the smaller scale, but see, we got those little celestial windows, which are nice. And then this is very 60s, this wallpaper. And this wallpaper goes this wall, and then that back wall. And then there's the door where we walked in. Very cool. Another neat feature, the closets. These are original. These are the original lights for the closets. And they're intact in this closet and the closet next door on the primary. So, like I said, this house, some Frankensteins make you mad, make me mad. This doesn't. They've left some stuff. Yeah, I know. We know how I feel about those. But someone thought it was necessary. That'll be the first thing I'd take out. And again, see? The original closet lights. Now, this is something I have not seen in a Streng yet, but it is part of, you'll see it all over the mid-mod movement in this house. I don't know who made these. I've never seen them on a Streng, but I've seen them in mid-mod homes. So these built-ins, just attach the side tables, but they just bolt straight to the wall. Very IKEA-esque. And these are very original. And this one has kind of like a curio cabinet look to it, which I like. Very cool. And then what we've got is, so this is the bathroom for the primary. All right, skylight, and then that's the window out to the carport. We'll go see that in a moment. And the vanities on both bathrooms, these are all original. And of course, raised off the ground, just as we always see in a traditional Streng. And yeah, again, although painted over, I'd take all these hinges off and strip the paint, because that's how they would have been originally. And again, as we've discussed on other Strengs, the HVAC system, right? You have these nice tall ceilings, and then you have a low central ceiling in the hallway, because that's where all your ductwork is. It runs straight down these hallways. So it's not on the roof like an Eichler. Such a smart way of doing things. So let's just go outside and let's have a look at the front of the house. Let's just do that. So we have a very original front door. So no texture to it, flat plain front. Very cool. These make me happy to see. So you got globe lights, and there's another one at the front. So there is a pair, very cool. There is, so this is where we get into the, what's been added, what's different. So there is a storage shed there, This house has a ton of storage, by the way, but that's one. I have a suspicion that that was not original to the house. It was built after, and because the house was built in 62. So how would I know this? So like, what do you look for clues? Well, the lumber in here, there was no barcodes in 1962 at any lumber yard. So, and then obviously the hinges, see these hinges, the corners are rounded off. The Streng brothers, especially early hinges, they were complete, they were square. There was no rounded edge. So there you go, a little detective work for you. And the very early homes didn't have garages. They had carports. So we're gonna walk forward. And we're gonna talk about that wall too. But see, that is a carport. There's the actual house. And it's a carport. Originally it had carports. And back then, people, you know, you only had one car. Very rare to have two cars in the 50s, 60s. So most of the carports were just for a single car. And now another thing we get to is these walls, these breech block walls. Very mid-mod. I have yet to see the breeze block walls on a Streng that I've done for the channel. Once again, we're into early mid-mod where Carter, it was carte blanche. You know, he did it his way. There was not a lot of input from customers. It was the very early days of mid-mod in Sacramento. It was Bill, Jim, Carter telling the customer what mid-mod was. It was their, you know, they were bringing it to Sacramento, so to speak. And so that's how it was. So that's why I like these early homes, because you get to see what was mid-mod, what was the early interpretations of it. And it wasn't until sort of 15, 20 years into building homes and the customers were like, hey, hang on a minute, we want to do this, we want to do that. And that's when you started seeing some modifications to a Streng by the Streng brothers, you know, as they came up with different models. This laundry room, and this is the old outside door. Unfortunately, I forgot to ask what the combination was to that lock to get in, but there is a storage room built onto the side of the house. So a second additional storage to the other big one that we're already in. But it runs from this corner and then all the way to the back of the house, which we'll see, like you say, the outside. So another large storage, like a workshop. So, which works, very cool. Now this would be the original formal living room. So no fireplace, you got a fireplace on the other side. Again, they've left the beams alone, which is nice. Now we're into the kitchen. And kitchen has been changed. And it's an interesting kitchen because it's got non-period look to it, but done in the correct fashion. And there's something that all Streng kitchens tend to have. And a lot of people rip them out, and it's really annoying. And this cabinet right here, see how, we'll walk around it. Let's do this. So there it is. And it kind of, except for that support up there, say hangs in its own free space. That is called, it's funny because we're on a vampire theme and horror, right? It's a coffin cabinet because it looks like a coffin. And that's what they call them. And these are not period correct. These are more contemporary cabinets. We do, you know, you've got non-Formica cabinet or worktops, but they did put it back in the way, the style. And another thing is this is all open to the other side, which I love. That's actually very, very cool. So a little weird, a little different, but also they didn't lose the tradition of having the coffin cabinets. But like I said, if you don't like it, then you buy it and change it back. But I just like to point these things out because at the end of the day, this channel is all about the history of Streng in Sacramento. And also, well, not just Streng, but mid-mod. And as I do more and more of these videos and more of these houses, you can see how people's tastes change and what they've decided to add on and, you know, make their home their own. So this is where this workshop on the side of the house. Let's see if I can get the best angle. So that last beam there, that was the old end of the house. And then there's been a workshop tacked onto the end, but tastefully done. But there's still, like, it's like missed opportunities almost. So you can see that beam and then the roof, right? So this, as it comes down, and then where it butts up, right there, it's then, it doesn't stay the same width. I would have just, I don't know, I just would have made it seamless so it didn't look like you've changed it. And then this is the workshop that is then created that unfortunately I can't get into because I forgot to ask what the combination was for that door, but it's no big deal. But it's just, it's a massive workshop. There's a wall of cabinets down the one side. It's absolutely brilliant. It's the king of storage. Then there's this door leading outside. And now what is behind me, what is now in front of me, is a 2-car garage, which again, I don't think is original to the house. But it was built in the same style of the house, like exact. And it's got, but it might be because it does have, this is very, on the other edition, the other side of the house where they've added stuff on, it's got the siding, they put vinyl siding, so easy for maintenance. But this is actual all wood, as it would have originally been done by Bill and Jim. We'll go out this door too, and see how high this is. So just how much storage space you end up with. But it is a 2-car garage. And so that also, again, leads me to believe that this is not original because people just didn't have 3 cars back then. And this has kind of RV parking on the side. Again, that was not something that was designed and built into homes back then. So it's huge. Now, something for the lesson, to channel. This nothing to do with mid-mod, but everything to do with modern living today. That is an electric car charger. So as an agent, a lot of people ask, what am I looking for? What is, when I see a house with an electric car charger, what should I look for? This is what you should look for. That's conduit. So electric car chargers, level 2s in your home, they plug into a dryer plug. You can plug them into a 110. There's some electric cars they'll sell you with a basic charger to plug into your house, which takes anywhere from, I kid you not, 30 to 40 hours to charge your car because it's 110 volt. Level 2, depends how big the battery is on the electric car you're driving, but you're looking at anywhere from 8 to 10 hours to charge your car. It's a little quicker because it's running on 220 volt, dryer plug. But you want them hardwired to your panel. And this piece of conduit, so it starts here, it goes all the way across this beam, and it goes across here, goes into that workshop where there is a panel that hardwires in. Why is that imperative or important? I say imperative, but why is it important? Well, when you plug a blender, your radio, anything electrical into a wall outlet, if it's on, it's drawing current, and it's consistent. It's continuous current. When you charge an electric car, they have a power curve or charge curve, and you're getting full whack at the very beginning, and then it comes in waves and spurts. And that's how it charges the battery with a lithium-ion battery charger without damaging it. And so an electric car, when it's plugged into a wall charging, it's not drawing constant electricity. It's coming in measured spurts. So it's stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. And if you have a plug plugged into a wall, and let's say you end up in a situation where it arcs, every time the power turns on and off, because the charging is not continuous, it's coming in spurts, you can have a situation with a plug where it catches an arc and it'll spark every time that power's on. So if it's hardwired into the panel, that is a non-issue, it's not happening. So whenever you see a house for sale, you're looking out there, you're buying a house, and it has a level 2 electric car charger, make sure it's hardwired into the panel. So there we go. Today's little rant went a little long, but it is what it is, you learned something. So we're gonna go outdoors. This is the side of the house. Now this is where we are no other Streng. So we have, here's a 2-car garage. This is that workshop I was talking about. And then there is a utility shed on the end of that. And then there's a doorway which takes you back out to the carport. So let's just take that and I'll show you. So we're gonna go here, see, and you come through here and then into this little shady spot. And we're back under the carport. And there's the front of the house. So you can kind of get my bearings. And there's the front door. like I said, this house has an absolute ton of story. It's fantastic. I like cars. I would have a daily, and sure, I'm gonna have toys too. And this house, it's perfect if you're that mentality. And then also, like I said, boat and RV parking down the side of the house. More than enough. I mean, not a huge RV, but travel trailer, or, you know, just one small, like those Sprinter vans you see running around now. Perfect for one of those. So there we go. And this house, in addition, we do have, probably seeing some of the behind me has been, but there is a pool. Downsides to this house that I don't like, the backyard is a pool. So if you don't have a green thumb, this house not for you. There is a rather large, there's a side yard. You could put some raised beds back there for a little bit of vegetables, but you're not growing a lot of vegetables in this house. But, you know, that's my personal taste. But then there's all that garage space for toys, which I also kind of like. But yeah, hopefully, and then we've got, again, like I said, I'm not a fan of ceiling fans, as you know, and I love these skylights. So you kind of, like, you're sitting outdoors and you've got light coming down from the top of your head, which is also nice. And again, I just love all these beams. They did not touch the beams, which is nice. And then the kitchens, I'm gonna go over the plans of the house because actually I'll show the model. But anyway, there is also off of the kitchen, this is, I do like the Strengs did give you lots of little cubby holes and storage, which was very, very nice. So since this house, like I said, we got into the new term today, Frankenstein. What was this house originally? Well, originally, see, this is actually Streng Brothers, OG, where they started, where it all began, is a drive called Jan Drive. This house is one of those very early models that is also on Jan Drive, and it is actually called the Classic 2, and plan number 628. But there we go, and that is the, it's interesting, it's got their logo on here, you know, it says the Streng Brothers, Carter Sparks, the architect, and the floor plan is laid out, and that's where I can see that this, originally, these houses only had, I don't know if you can see that, is, oh, there we go, that probably works, a single carport. So it is unique that this, and I love the fact that the garage is built, you know, it's with the style of the house. I loved it when the garage was built. I mean, if it's rare that they build, Strengs would build that separate. And another Carter Sparks thing was to keep everything in the house within its own footprint. So you didn't see a garden shed off to the side. You saw the garden shed built, you know, within the floor plan of the house, but you had to get to it. Access would be outside of the house, as we've seen on the duplex models I've shown you, and a couple of the other just single story freestanding homes. And then another common thing, and this has it, again, we'll finish up here, but mail slot. And the mail slot comes through here, and there it is. And the laundry room. Such a brilliant idea, because you can go on vacation and you don't have to pester the neighbors. Can you get my mail? You don't have to go down to the post office to stop your mail. When you get home, your mail's in the house, safe and secure. It's just another reason why you buy a mid-mod home. So, well, there we go, folks. A little bit of history today. Hope you liked it. Once again, Julie Reardon, thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate being given the opportunity to do these videos. Can't thank you enough. Folks, this house went on the market Friday. It is now Monday. It is pending already. So if any of you like, what kind of market is Sacramento right now? It's a seller's market. It's, yeah, there's not enough inventory and there's a ton of buyers. But if there is any mid-mods that you want to see, please reach out, contact me. I'll gladly show you some. There are some others available on the market still currently as of this week. So there we go. Once again, my name is Alister, your host, the Modern Modernist, and be good to each other, humans. Take care. Bye-bye.